my name is Jo, and I am the head of crew for NPC London. I come from a little town in New Zealand called Rotorua, and I've been in the UK for 15 years now, and in the film industry for six or seven.
I am Debu Prasad, and you can call me Debu. And I work as the HOD of animation at Technicolor, erstwhile Technicolor FEV. Now we are all NPC VFX in India. So we had the earlier we had Mr. X Studios and NPC Film and NPC Episodic that I was handling, and now we are all slowly transitioning into MPC altogether.
My name is Sophie, and I'm a lighting artist at MPC at the moment.
Hi, my name's Anne Chopman. I'm a senior flame artist / VFX supervisor, and also recently been promoted to the co-head of 2D at the Mill New York. I kind of specialize in fashion and beauty projects mainly, but I work on everything. And also in my new role, I'm mentoring and supporting the teams in the New York office.
So I'm Christy Scanlon. I'm VP of Business Development for Technicolor Games. I've been with the company for just over 10 years, and I'm responsible for overseeing the client relationships and the business side of our games business. So making sure that the clients are happy and that we are continuing to grow our business along the way.
Hi, my name is Christian Robertson. I'm the president of Technicolor Creative Studios, and I oversee all of our 4 divisions, which covers NPC VFX, Mill Advertising, Micros Animation, and Technicolor Games. And I've been at Technicolor now since 2003. In fact, I actually joined the company as NPC, and Technicolor then acquired NPC in 2005. So I was even here a couple of years before Technicolor's acquisition of NPC, but I've been here since 2003. Started on Harry Potter 3 as a production manager and continued my way up through the VFX side, and then took on the job as divisional president back in 2020.
Oh, no, so I look after the people on all of our creative teams. Myself and the team that I work with are responsible for the relationships within this area of our studio. We make sure that each artist has a meaningful connection with their team and with their show, that they is basically to ensure that we have a high-performing, healthy, fun, high working team and a healthy working environment as well. Obviously, it comes with its challenges. That means that we look after all of the facilitation of the HR needs, of the recruitment process and their onboarding, of all the welfare, the team engagement, performance management and coaching through, and also progression planning, mediating and looking after team as they go through their career journey.
In Technicolor, last year, we had a core team, animation team in MPC, around 10 members, and we had a core team in animation in the Mr. X in India, around 3 members. And this year, Technicolor as a studio has decided to really increase the potential of the India animation team, which is unprecedented than before. So in my role, I take care of this growth in the Indian animation team here in India. We are now at least 120 members strong, and we are all still learning. And my role is kind of managing this team and also making sure that we are trying to reach the level of quality that is required at a global level, and making sure that the team is following all the protocols that are necessary, and they're putting in all the effort that is necessary to work on the A-list shows that come out of Hollywood.
Just the most basic outline is I match CG to backplates. So what we have to do is we have to match the lighting that they did on set, and on set they shoot these ref balls. There's a chrome sphere and there's a grey ball and a Macbeth chart as well, and we ingest that and take that in, and we also set up CG ones and we have them side by side, and really they also create HUI stitches as well. And from there, we take that and extract lights and grade them and compare these ref balls, really matching where the light positions are, the exposures, and then also the grading as well, and we get them as close as possible, and this is the base for our light rig, which we can share out to other artists. And then from there, we take a creative spin, so we do a bit of shot lighting, just to either push the hero asset forward in the shot, or if you want to have something a bit more invisible, just to blend into the background a bit more, we do that too. It just depends on what the supervisor wants and what they're after, and also the client as well at the end of the day.
So yeah, the best way to explain it is I'm a flame artist, but I don't do flame throwing. So unfortunately, that's not my job. That would be amazing. But yeah, basically, if like you imagine a writer writes a story and then a director takes that story and turns it into a commercial or film, and goes out and shoots it, you know, on like film or like a digital camera, or these days iPhone. And then they take it to an editor, and that editor, she will like cut it together and, you know, make that story like fill either a 30-second commercial or like a 2-hour film, etc. And then someone called a colorist then takes all that footage and kind of like makes it feel how the director wants it to feel. So does it want to be a sunny day or a dark day or black and white, and just like, and then it all of that footage then comes to me or like someone like myself, and then I kind of like put it together using a bit of software called Flame, also not flame throwing, and then just put it together, add the final audio, do any visual effects, like if someone's shot in green screen and they need to be not in green screen, they need to be on a beach in Bali, like, or something like that, or there's explosions or any kind of things like that. But yeah, my main job, because I work in beauty and fashion, is to make the director and the clients like film just feel more beautiful kind of thing. So that's it really.
So I am out in the community, pitching our services to potential clients, also bringing in new leads for potential projects, and overseeing the testing process, the bidding process, making sure that the engagement is going well, making sure that we have our contracts in place and that billing has what they need. So basically, managing the business side of our engagements with game developers.
So as a divisional president, you know, you're required to, we have full P&L, profit and loss responsibility. So all of the finances of the company, you set out a budget at the beginning of the year. You then have to build your strategy around how you achieve that budget. You have to think about all of your executive and senior management. You've got to make sure that they have the support of the company to do everything that they need to do. You have to engage with the board of directors. For Technicolor, as a public company, we have a board, so you're working with the board of directors of the company, and liaising with the other divisions of Technicolor. But I think that the main function is actually ensuring that our shared services have the resources that they need to support the company, make sure that our divisional heads have everything they need to achieve what they need to achieve, and oversee every part of the operation. And sometimes you can get very involved in very small details, and then within the same day you can swing to sort of big picture, the next 5 years, and your overall strategy for the direction that the company wants to take. So it's a pretty all-encompassing job.
For me, an average day looks a lot like me coming in quite early. I like to be in the studio before anyone else, mainly because my role is very people focused, and I'm very definitely a people person. According to Myers-Briggs, I'm something like 89% extrovert. So I like to get in early, and I like to have time for myself to go through and set up my day. I work through, kind of use my email inbox as my to-do list a little bit. And I go through that and make sure everything's organized, and then prepare for my team when they're coming in. We have morning like warm-ups with our team, where we meet up and go through the day and what we need to achieve for the day. And then there is like different tasks for each day of the week in a way. So we have our Thursday day, which is the day that we inform everybody of what our resource plan is for the coming weeks. Mondays are for meetings with show teams to understand where teams are having successes and where they're having challenges, so we know where to support them the best. Tuesdays are for meeting one-on-one with producers and looking at what they have on their plates. And I mean, Wednesdays are for having one-to-ones with our individual artists as well. And Fridays is for beer o'clock, of course.
In the morning, I start with looking through my mails because obviously I need to make sure that there are no fires anywhere across the three units, that is episodic, film, and Mr. X. Once I go through that, I also spend a portion of my day trying to make sure that all the shows are properly balanced in terms of casting. And then I usually have a catch up with my leads on the various shows, and especially the priority one shows, just to make sure that nothing is, everything is going as planned, and what are the issues that have come up, what are the shots that needs more in-depth looking at, and how are we doing for the week and things like that.
The first thing I tend to do is open up all the softwares I need, so usually Nuke, Houdini, and then also the render farm, which is Tractor that we use, and I check my renders from overnight. Also, while I'm doing that, I have Teams open and my emails open and my calendar open, so I check if there's any meetings for the day, any dailies. And then for Teams, I just really check to see if I have any messages overnight, because at the moment, because MPC, we've combined all these studios like Mr. X together to form this massive powerhouse, really. So we're global. So I'm working with Montreal at the moment. So I can only really message them in the morning. So I make sure if I have any concerns, I message them like straight away in the morning as soon as I come in, and check to see if there's any messages for me as well in the morning that I have to answer.
An average day at work could be so different. I could be on set with a director supervising a shoot just to make sure I'm there if they have any questions on visual effects. I could be having like one-on-one meetings with our team, like checking in on them, making sure, their career is progressing and they're working on projects they want to be working on. I could be checking in with the global 2D team and like seeing what's happening in the other offices in Bangalore and in London, in Chicago, and Shanghai, everywhere around the world. Just chatting with the team like daily, having a conversation with the director, bidding out projects to see how long it's going to take the mill to do and create a project. Every day is really different.
I would say most days are pretty busy. Being an international company, your days can really stretch out. I know it's the same for all of us here at TCS. So you can start the morning straight into calls, and they can run all the way through until 8-9 o'clock at night, and then you can get home and still be on the phone until midnight. And so it's every day is busy, I would say that, and then things don't tend to stop on a Friday either. So you can have a lot of your weekends, which is doing calls and talking to our management team, but also to our clients. I make sure that I keep in touch with a lot of our clients, especially on the VFX side, where I've had really long relationships with a lot of our key clients, and now I'm also starting to learn our clients on other parts of the business as well. So yeah, there's a lot of client communication. There's also working with all of our heads of our head of finance, head of operations, making sure that HR are recognizing those issues on the recruitment side. So you kind of engaged all day long, having meetings all day long and making decisions and hoping that you're making the right decisions most of the time.
About my role with regard to enjoyment, I would say I enjoy the most the team. I enjoy the people that I work with. I just love the environment, my leadership team around me, the managers over me, and also the teams of artists that I look after. Genuinely, everyone is utterly fabulous, and they are challenging, and they're a lot of fun, and they're just wonderful human beings. And I feel very, very lucky that I get to work in this environment.
The team here is fantastic. as soon as the first week came in, like I felt right at home. Like everyone's been so supportive, especially when because I was doing texturing before and I had really no idea about lighting as much. They were very supportive and gave me all the feedback that I needed and really helped out, gave me articles to read in my spare time, which I'm very appreciative of. But the team is amazing. It's a really good energy. What I love about it is we usually have music in the morning as well. As soon as I come into the studio, I put on some music for the team if they want it. We change it up as well. So just so we share around, we have a playlist on Spotify where we can collaborate and add songs to, which is amazing because I love listening to music when I'm working. I just think it sets the morale for the day. It just gets the energies and spirits up. So if that music every day, that's amazing, right?
What do I enjoy most about my role? I think I really enjoy mentoring and supporting the younger artist. I think if I could pick anything, obviously over the years I've got to do some great, going on shoots and meeting directors. But I think now, I really enjoy like giving a student their first job at the mill and what that means, what that meant to me, and now I know what it will mean to them getting their first step on the role. So I think that's the most enjoyable part of my role.
I love working with the team in India. They're very talented, very passionate about what they do. Really great people, really talented. So I think that really the team is what keeps me going. I love working with our team.
I really enjoy the strategy part, thinking what direction the company needs to take to provide the service to the clients, our clients, and to make sure that we're giving them what they need. And part of that is trying to understand what they're going to need before the actual need arises, because it takes a long time to build a company's services or redirect a company, re-engineer our processes. And yeah, it's just I really enjoy the idea of thinking ahead, understanding what we need to do to give our clients the best possible service they need.
When you're looking at getting started in this industry, I would always recommend looking at your network and about the group of people around you and the relationships that you have. Like key places online, you have ArtStation and you have Instagram, even Facebook in some ways. I would say just look for where the people who do the work that you want to do, look at where they are, where they're hanging out online and what kind of content they're sharing. Follow them, like what they're doing, obviously comment and like you can ask questions. Make sure it's always a two-way street when you're trying to engage with someone. It's not just about what you can get out of the situation, but about what that artist can get from having a relationship with you. And obviously looking to the schools in your local area and doing your research online, like in the UK, I would always say I could recommend what unis are worth going to, but we hire some amazing people out of unis that we wouldn't have expected as well. So I think the main thing is getting a thorough understanding through doing your research of what specific job you would want to do in this industry and what skills you need to be able to do that job.
I would say like one of my biggest inspirations, like as an animator, when I was animating, like as always, I always fall back on the Animator Survival Kit. It's a book by Richard Williams, by the great Richard Williams, and it's always been inspiring. And I still learn whenever I go back to it. I still learn from it, and I would recommend anyone trying to get into animation, definitely that book is a must-have in your library. And also just watch watch as much as content as possible, and whether it is you're watching the movies, you're watching the classic movies, you're watching movies from around the world, you're watching animation. Just we need to be voracious watchers of, and we need to take in everything, because and also real life, just keep noticing and keep practicing, and that's the biggest way to get in animation. The more you practice, the more you notice, the more you develop your eye for animation. What people call that he has or she has a great eye for animation, and that developing that eye is what takes time, because the software is something you're going to master. tips and tricks and the techniques you can master with time and practice, but developing that eye and having, aesthetics, the subjectivity of building your aesthetics, that is what you will need to work on through your career. And that is what is going to always come back to you on how you develop yourself. Because we all come from different orientations. We don't have the same pop culture references, but we need to make sure that no matter where we are in the world, we just keep on, developing our, our taste in things and what we are watching and as much as possible. That's how I feel.
To get started in a VFX, if you want to be a VFX artist, I think, again, the most important thing is to kind of learn the whole post-production industry, because when I started, I didn't know what I wanted to do, and it was really helpful to learn about all the roles. In the UK, there's something called Screen Skills, and that kind of website is kind of like full of all the information about every role in the industry. Also, Access VFX is a great organisation to learn about the role, what everyone does. For more fun, Roger and Jane Deakins did this amazing podcast throughout the pandemic, breaking down all of their films, and obviously he's done some amazing VFX films, so it was kind of really interesting to hear the directors and the cinematographers and the VFX supervisors talking about like the roles and challenges of projects and things like that. Yeah, and like if you want to be like a flame artist or a nuke artist, there's some training on the YouTube channel called the Flame Learning channel. So that's like literally from beginners to being a full VFX compositor. So you can learn about the software like for free on YouTube.
Well, for the games business, I think GameIndustry.biz is a great newsletter. So I read it every day and get the highlights of what's going on in the games business. I think that would be my go-to for news in the games business.
I think one of the things that people will find mundane is in VFX, especially VFX animation for VFX, is how much we have to do and redo and perfect something right to the end, like to make it look real. And the one thing that I kind of tell anyone joining new or even the CAD team, that this should be something you enjoy, because if you're not enjoying the process of animation, you will get jaded by the time you get to become a senior animator, and you won't have that fun will go away. So you will stop being creative. So this is something you really need to be is you need to enjoy this, and so that the amount of hours you're putting in and while practicing, and also the amount of effort you will have to put in to get to go up the levels and become animator, senior animator, is like it becomes mundane, it becomes challenging, and it shouldn't be challenging. It should be something like a challenge you take upon yourself to prove yourself, and that's what it's going to be like. You really need to have fun.
Well, I would like to say networking is super important. So it's always good to attend any events that you possibly can. I remember a couple of years ago, there was a rookies event that I attended, and you get to meet other students and really collaborate with them and get to know them. And actually, one of them that I talked to at these events actually has a job here as well. So it's a small world, really. So it's always good to network. So that's one key thing, and that's kind of how I also got into the studio, I would like to say. Was networking with the recruiters, because I saw them in person and got chatting with them, and they were super lovely, and I just got to network with a lot more people after that as well. Also, in terms of studying, if you're a bit unsure, if you want to do like a certain course or if you want to do self-taught, just know that you can take any pathway. It doesn't necessarily have to be a formal education that you have. As long as you can demonstrate and show that you got these skills, you have a good eye for art and for composition, you should honestly be fine. And as well as also being a good person, I think that's really handy, because like I said, you'll be talking to a lot of people, you'll be getting all this feedback, so you're gonna have to also take that feedback, and you don't want to have a bad attitude when you do it as well. So you want to be really like down to earth, and you also just want to apply that feedback to then for yourself as well, to improve upon. It's always good to show passion for your work as well. show that you're passionate about it and you're willing to learn a lot more. And being a good team player, I think, is key, I would say, especially in lighting, because you're collaborating with all these different departments like all the time. Another thing is to always apply, just try applying to all these different places. I tried, like when I straight away after the showcase, I applied to all these places that I could. Just even if I knew that I might not get it, I just did it anyway, and I managed to score another interview. So it's just a matter of just trying your luck and just to see where you're at. They could also give you feedback on like your interview or anything else as well, which is fantastic. And then I think another key thing is your show reels. Make sure you present your show reels well. We had chats from the recruiters from Mr. X at the time, and Ash and Indigo gave some great feedback. Keep your show reels pretty short and neat. Only have really show your best work, because recruiters aren't really going to want to spend like 5 minutes watching the show reel with mediocre pieces. So you want to show your best that you have to offer. Also, make sure you clearly like show what softwares you use as well, so the recruiters know what you're capable of. And also have a little short description about what you did, if you're responsible for everything, if you're just responsible for one part, because it's hard to tell. Because imagine if you have like a whole shot full of CG and you have no description of what you did, it might be a bit hard to tell what you're responsible for. So be concise about that too. That's about it.
I would say to learn about the whole post-production process first and decide like, oh, what would I like to do? Because there's such a, VFX is such a big part of it. You could be a compositor, which is like I am, where you're putting everything together. You could be a CGI artist where you're like creating like monsters and dinosaurs, you know, or rain effects, or water. You could be a colorist where you kind of get to create the overall look of the film. You could be a designer where you get to like animate and design like graphics, you know, for a client, or maybe a whole like animated film. So I think if you try and learn and read about every role, and then or if you try and get an internship, or you know, your first, you know, job in the industry, is to just keep learning, because where you start is not where you may want to finish. So just keep learning about everything.
Well, some advice that was given to me when I was starting out my career is try to work for someone whose job you ultimately want, because you want to be able to train and learn. So you know, working as an assistant or as a more junior role under someone who you want to learn from, I think, is a good way to start.
I believe we've only just begun to see a sample of the growth that we'll see in this industry. Like in terms of conventional industries and careers that you could have or choose to pursue coming out of education, you know, there's far more creative opportunities in the world than there ever has been before. There's far more work in this industry than there ever has been before. There is, as you would all know, a massive rise in like streaming platforms and the content that's required for these platforms. And it does mean that there's a lot of, whereas we were seeing in the film industry for cinematic release, a lot of recycled intellectual property and stories that are being redone and done again. Of course, it's always exciting to reimagine something and see it from a new angle and from a new director's perspective. But to see the content coming through on streaming platforms now is something that really excites me. We see different kinds of stories and different content, things that people will take risks to make a new story into live action and with CG in it, where we wouldn't have seen it before in the last few years in theater releases. So it means it's really exciting. We're getting to work right now on some different like intellectual property that I could never have dreamed that we would get to work on. So I think it's really exciting. It's a really great time to get into the industry, and there's so much work out there that you can be doing. There's so much in the way of progression and development as well. And to be able to look at a project and say, I worked on that, I was involved with that, there's something amazing about it. So yeah, it's really rewarding.
I think recently, obviously, the whole Unreal and metaverse kind of world is just really exciting for someone who loves like fashion and beauty. Obviously, we can use those tools to like create fashion shows, create avatars, create like actual like materials. So fashion designers can like help with the environment and not have to like use actual materials. They can create things in Unreal and actually create garments like for fashion shows. So, you know, that obviously helps the environment, which is so important. Yeah, I think like art and the metaverse and Unreal and how we can use that, like obviously old school, like rear projection, which was like, you know, at the start of the film industry, and how we've kind of like gone full circle, but we're like using like virtual production to create worlds for clients and directors, like with like screens, etc., which is so exciting. And also it helps with the world, so less travel, you know, green in the environment, which is, you know, so important for us as a company, and also, you know, the wider kind of like world. It really is.
I think real time is going to be such a monumental shift in our business. You know, we're all creative. As artists, we come in and we use tools to generate the imagery and the designs that we do. So having a tool that enables us to think quicker and iterate faster is going to fundamentally shift the way that we work. And then the idea that all of our divisions use the same common tool set, like the idea that games and animation and advertising and VFX could have very similar tools, means that our creative workforce, our talent, would then be able to move across those different platforms. And I think that is going to be huge. And it's not now, but definitely I think we'll look back in 10 years' time and not recognize the business that it is today, for sure.
What's your favorite video game?
Favorite game? I've been using, I'm on Google Stadia at the moment, and it's an old game called Control. I started playing that. I like that one.
Hey, Christian, I'm going to take this from a recent TED talk. I think it really struck a chord with me. If you could write the obturity to the TCS, imagine it's going to fail in 5 years, 100%, it would no longer exist. What is the course of death of our company? What is the point of failure? How would it have failed? And now, what would you be willing to do to stop that happening?
Well, we're not going to fail, but in the slight ever chance that that will never happen, but if it did ever happen, I think it's all about innovation. I think if we don't keep our business needs to be really agile, and we need to be constantly thinking about how the entertainment industry is changing, how the needs of our clients in advertising, what the brands need, how they need to connect with their audiences. We need to be very agile, and we need to recognize change, and we need to be able to adapt very quickly. So I think innovation, not innovating and not recognizing change, and then not making quick decisions to re-engineer our business to look at those changes and adapt for those changes, I think that's where we would fail. I don't see there's any chance of that, because we are a company that I believe in our DNA is about being agile and not being afraid of re-architecting our business to offer the service to the clients, because ultimately we're here to service our clients.
Hey, Christian, I don't know if anybody else has asked you this yet, but I thought it would be interesting to know from you what you enjoy the most about your role, and why you've been in it for as long as you have. What motivates you to keep going?
I've always loved animation and the creative business. I really love working with the people. I love what we do. I love the end result. I love watching TV, movies. I'm a gamer. 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 I love watching TV, movies. I'm like everything that we do, I'm really kind of into. So it's just it's kind of, I'm so lucky to have a job where I'm really into like the stuff that we make, and it's just working with very creative people. I think it's a really cool. It's just a really cool job.